So, returning to the topic of big carriers and small agencies, big carriers like Allstate having a hard time. Do you think that this provides a unique opportunity for smaller agencies like yourself, the independent operations, to basically come in and take some of that market share?
To an extent. I mean, they're put in a position where they have a claim terrible season in Louisiana. It could trickle down all the way up to our area where we're going to deal with a lot more like regional style companies and less nationals, more kind of central to our area. So you may, if we have a opportunity to switch them over to a market that didn't happen to take increases in this last year, maybe it works out to their benefit. Mm-hmm. The actual like us versus the big guy, David and Goliath, so to say, whatever it is. Now, I honestly think we're on a very similar page. They're just doing it on a bigger and broader scale.
Right.
And we're doing it like a little more individualized, personalized, and in your community. So
you probably feel like you guys have been taking as much of a slacking as any of the other insurance carriers then, eh?
I mean, me personally, no. Like I've started my business back before COVID, and I had a lot of people that felt so bad for me because starting during COVID, and I'm like, actually, it was great. I was able to shut the doors, lock the doors because we weren't supposed to see people, and make some phone calls. And when I would call, say, "Hi, Miss, do you have your driver's license with you?" She'd go, "Yeah, it's right here." And I say, "Okay, I'm going to need your husband's as well." And she'd go, "Okay, yeah, here it is, honey, I need your driver's license." That doesn't happen. Currently, the way it works is we're sending emails back and forth and we're trying to track it down, and things take so much longer. We were able to do quotes so quickly back in the COVID days.
That's funny.
So fast because everybody was right there. They were all in the same room and it was super efficient. So, and now with the hard market, with it being so difficult, yeah, it's not fun. It's definitely not fun. We do not like being the face of the insurance companies right now because the rate increases and the way they're handling things. But as the small one in our community that's kind of growing in that, we get a lot of the trickle down from everybody else that's saying, "Okay, well, I'm frustrated, been with these guys for a while. Why don't I go check out the new guy?" And I won't complain about how that's worked out.
Fair enough. So I got a different kind of question now. So I don't know how insurance companies often work, especially the relations with each other. But I know a few of the last 4 years, I think is fair to say, we've had a few moments of economic strife, specifically with things like banks going under. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we saw is that some of these like second level banks, big in certain states, they're not in others, they fall apart. FDIC comes in, they secure all the clients, but then other bigger banks come in and they start buying them out. And these bigger banks start getting bigger. And then there's it's a wider distance between the small guys and then the really big guys. Do you think insurance, given that we're going through a period of fair bit of turmoil, is there a similar risk with insurance companies at the moment?
Yeah, that's really interesting question. The local small mom and pop style independent insurance agencies are something that the bigger companies are coming in to swoop up. The bigger independents, I should say.
Really?
We don't have State Farm coming and knocking on our door saying we'd like to buy you, but we do have the big independent that is now 10 times our size coming in saying, "We'd like to buy you." Oh. And then what they do is they say, "Okay, come in and work underneath us. You keep your job, you keep working for your company, but you're officially going to be part of our team." And it allows them to save money by buying in bulk and using systems, shared systems, and doing they can save a lot of money. And insurance can be a very profitable business on our end if you're doing it right. And so, we do find that a lot of independents, even in this community, we've seen in the last few years, some of the bigger and really good independent agencies locally have sold, and they sell to these big company out of Florida or this big company out of California or whatever it is. And they go from being a beloved locally owned to now we're doing the systems the way that this company wants us to do our systems. And we're going to do things a little bit differently. So yeah, it's out there.
So obviously we're small business owners. We're interested in keeping the small mom and pop alive. Do you think when it comes to insurance though, the average consumer is going to see a big difference if all of a sudden their private insurance carrier ends up getting bought out by the mid-size insurance group in Florida, are they going to see a difference on their end, or?
They're only going to see a difference if they're seeking personalized help in that situation, because what we find is that once that happens, there's just there's a different response.
Gotcha.
We tend to sit back and wait a few months, and then as soon as like everything kind of gets put into place, we start getting this trickle down from all their customers reaching out to us saying, okay, well, I can't get a hold of anybody anymore. And when I do call, now they've got me assigned to this person. And I asked them where they're at, and they're down in Phoenix. Like, okay, that's not what we're trying to do here.
Right.
So yeah, it does impact them in that way. In terms of like rate, no, it's going to be the same rates, whether they're with them or us. And
gotcha.
Rate wise should be the same. And in certain situations, like I think of like commercial lines, they may need a certificate of insurance. There may be a system in place with theirs that is all of a sudden better. Like they may see improvements in that. So, but I think on a personal end, you're wanting to discuss potential things with your auto policy. That gets to be a little more difficult under that situation.
I've heard someone describe, I think it was actually about insurance companies as well, funny enough, where like they'll sell out to another group, they'll come in and everything stays the same for 3 years. Yeah. And then after 3 years, then they'll come in and it's like, okay, now it's actually time to make some changes because we've retained all the clients. Now it's time to turn you into us.
Yeah, I've done that twice in my life with companies that I worked for. Where
really?
I was with a company, they sold to another company. And that first year is actually usually pretty great. That first year, they say, oh, no, this is special. This is great. Let us show you all the things that we do for our other companies that you're going to enjoy too. And so you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. And then they start making the changes to, okay, where are we over profitable? I know in one of those first changes, I had somebody call me up and say, okay, describe to me your job. And I went, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, because the place I was working for had a very specific job title that I had. The new place that bought us, they didn't really have that position. So all of a sudden it got to be a little scarier moving forward.
Yeah, you were at risk of redundancy. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So I do think that that's not just insurance. I think that's when a company sells, that at first you get to see some of the really fun introductions and it can be actually enjoyable. And then usually it's and now here's how we're going to save some money. And when a company saves some money, it's usually less fun for both the customers and the people working there.